Hey, moviegoers, Demetri Panos here with another episode of KDM. K standing for Kit, D standing for Demetri, the M standing for movies. So, what do? We talk movies. My good
Sure
friend and
do.
colleague, Kit Bowen, on my left or right, depending on how you see us. Um, so, hey, don't shush me. What are you talking about? No, I can't be quiet when I'm talking about A Quiet Place Day One. And that's what we will be discussing today. There may be some spoilers, being that when this review is up, the movie will have opened. So we may have to talk. We may talk some spoilers, because I think that there's, uh, well, we'll just let the conversation flow as we always do. And as we
Mhm.
always do, we start off with our thoughts and opinions. And I always defer to my good friend and colleague, Kit Bowen. Hi, Kit. What is,
Hi.
hey, and I should also say, this was a movie we watched together.
We did. We got to
And
see it together.
you weren't
That's
too
always a good
quiet. In
thing.
fact, you were
No,
punching me.
I did. I punched you.
So we'll
If
talk
one
more
if
about
one of
that.
those if one of those alien things dropped down just suddenly one more time,
Yeah, I got the
I turned
Bruce.
to Dimitri and I said, "I'm going to punch you if that happens again."
I got the Bruce to show it. We'll talk about that later. What did you think of I can tell you, you weren't so quiet in A Quiet Place Day One.
Oh no,
What did you think about it?
I'll tell you one thing. That actually happens and the aliens come and they can only find you by sound. I'd be dead nanoseconds. Nanoseconds. I'm not a quiet person. No, 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 no. I loved this. I mean, I really, really loved it. I've actually loved all of this. This we were talking recently about Pixar and Toy Story and how
Mhm.
sequels and how do you make them work? Well, whatever John Krasinski's little magic fairy dust that he does on this franchise just continues to work. It continues to work. Um, the fact that now we're in New York City, just takes it to a whole other level. And you can have this story exist, within any kind of part of this franchise because you start in a small town and you get that, and now now you have the big city, and then you could go on to do something else if you wanted to. I'm just saying, I don't know if they'll
Mhm.
continue on. They probably will because this may know I think it's going to make some money, but the you and I talked about this afterwards. The thing about these films, though, they are monster movies and they're creepy as hell and scary, and the monsters themselves are horrible. But there's always a heart to these. Monster movies with a heart. A lot of them do that. I mean, there's a fair amount of monster movies that have that, but this particular scenario for a thriller is always peppered with the human factor, obviously. And in this case, Lupita Nyong'o, who's just a fantastic actress, my God, she plays a woman who we come to find out has terminal cancer.
Right.
Um,
And that's one of the things that I was going to
yeah,
talk about, spoilerish, and
yeah,
I'll say why. But go
yeah,
on. Yep. Hmm.
yeah. So so she really doesn't care much about what happens. All she wants now is to find the simple pleasures of life that she has left. And in this case, it's trying to find the best pizza in New York City.
And try
So
and go home
yeah,
to a
and go
place
home.
that
Yeah, that's
gave her
comfortable for her.
that 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 had good childhood
Yeah,
memories
yeah,
that she
yeah.
recalled. Yeah.
So that's kind of how the film starts, and she's in the city with a group of her fellow her fellow cancer people who are all from a hospice, and they come into the city for a an excursion, and then all hell breaks loose. So through the course of the film, you see her pain, her determination, her arrogance, her just everything that kind of encompasses this character, and she does it so beautifully. You really are in it with her, and she created such a character that was so rich. And of course, along the way, she you know, ends up she doesn't want to be saved, basically, and there's some, I won't spoil all of that, but there are some ways that people can't escape New York. Um, and she meets Joseph Quinn's character, who from he comes from
Eric.
Stranger
Yeah.
Things. Yeah, he plays a Brit who's in New York and studying to be a lawyer. Anyway, for whatever reason, he gloms onto her and doesn't want to leave her. He just, I guess, he feels either that he just doesn't want to be alone, or I'm not sure exactly why. I mean, you got kind of get the idea later, but at first you're not sure why she's like, "Don't follow me anymore. Just go and be saved. Go, go, go." But he doesn't. He sticks with her. And they just have a very unique and beautiful dynamic between the two of them. And I'm sure you'll talk about the one scene that we both were very touched by. But the
Mm.
whole film was just, you know, going between having these like tender, scary, horrible moments where they're realizing the world's ending kind of thing, to some just normal human behavior, and then the monsters. And
Mhm.
those scenes are very scary. like
Yeah, they
like I
were
said, I did
tense.
I did punch you a couple times. And the other thing
Yes,
that
you
was kind of the other
yes,
kind
you
of thing that
did.
was interesting, this one that hasn't really been explored, was the alien itself. We get to kind of see a little bit more of what they're all about, and really, even like going inside their ear canal, and and that the fact that they travel by herds, and I mean, it's just, because I think the first film did a really nice job with keeping the alien as a horrible, threatening presence, but not ever really seeing it only in flashes, running
Mhm.
across or whatever. Actually, I guess at the end they do end up fighting one, but um, they keep it kind of nebulous on what the creature looks like. And the second one, you maybe see a little bit more of them, but this one they really do dive into it. Now, the director of this, do you have the guy's name up
Mike
here?
Serenowski, I believe it is.
Yeah,
Michael
who
Serenowski.
who took on this franchise as a newbie, because Krasinski. I forgot. Did Krasinski direct the second one too? Right?
He did direct the second one. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Hmm. He did direct
So
the second one.
he produced this, Krasinski. So he handed off the reins to
He
Serenowski,
produced it, and at least according to
and wrote the
I Am
story.
Dimbo, he came up with the story. Now
Yeah,
he's
I am
come up with the
Dembo.
story, huh? I Am
Okay.
Dumbo. Yeah, I am.
Wait,
Did
wait.
I
Let me
say
just
Bo?
finish. Let me
Oh,
just
go
finish.
ahead. Yeah.
So, but Serenowski actually directed a film that I really, really loved called Pig, with Nicolas Cage and
Hmm.
Alex Wolff, who actually makes a brief appearance in this as well. Um, the Pig was a very like out of nowhere kind of film for me, about a former chef who basically packs it all in, lives in the forest, and collects very, very precious mushrooms with his beloved
Truffles.
pet pig, truffles, with his beloved pig. And it's just a very funny, sweet, tender, kind of story that just came out of nowhere. Anyway, so clearly this guy has the chops to do that kind of thing. So even in a grand epic scale, he's able to bring the story inward, and
Hmm.
we follow these two people and we really are invested in them. So yeah, I'm telling you, I mean, I think as a in the ranking of the franchise, the first one will always be the best because it sets the world up. But
Yeah.
this was a close second for me. I really loved this, so that's my take.
Interesting. Yeah. No, I mean, I feel very much the same way you do.
Oh, and there's
And
a cat, and you didn't like the cat,
yeah,
but I love the
no, and
cat.
I'm gonna talk. Yeah, that cat was my
You
pet
into it?
peeve, which I'll get into a bit. When I sat down to write my review, like just even driving home, like the cat bothered me. I'll get to that in a minute. I agree with you. I think the movie works. Like this entire series works because of the human condition, the human element, the journey. It's there are some good monster movies out there. There's been a lot of talk recently of that Godzilla minus one. It's why is it a good monster movie? Because it really does focus on your human characters and what they've gone through, and you know,
Mhm.
and such. Even Jaws, it's a good monster movie because you have Amity Island, but you have the three people that you care for,
Right.
and there's good dialogue. And I think what they've done with A Quiet Place is they've really made it tender, soulful, and there's heart, but there's like sadness. The first
Hmm.
Quiet Place was really about using a monster movie to talk about or to showcase loss. It was their loss of the son, and it was this family unit,
Right.
and um they coming together, and Emily Blunt being pregnant, and is it the right time to have a baby? Like a lot of people who are thinking about being a parent, they always talk about, is this the right time to do this? Is this the blah blah
Hmm.
blah? And there's that journey. The second one picks up with Emily Blunt and the fam and her remaining family, and they find some other survivors, and it there's always characters in there, and there's always some semblance, like there's temerity to survive, but there's a lot of good heart. I found
Hmm.
this movie, day one, to be equally as rich in those departments. I found it to be somewhat sad. I think Lupita Nyong'o as Samira, like you, I
Yeah.
thought she was fantastic. Uh, Look, the movie is a third, like it's the third in a series. It's kind of
Yeah.
a horror movie thriller, and we're in June. It more than likely will not be recognized come December. Her performance may be forgotten or whatever. I think it's worthy. I want to recognize it now, um, because I think that she was that good. I think
Yeah.
something
Me
about
too.
that character too is that the character really kind of draws you in. She's a little bit off-putting at the beginning, and then you're wondering, why are you going the wrong way?
Right.
And in good journey movies,
Yes.
when you're on the journey, you learn more and more about this, right? So,
Hmm.
she
Hmm.
meets up with Eric, but then you realize, number one, she's in hospice care, which I thought the trailer did a great job of hiding that fact. You're in hospice care, the end is the end is
Hmm.
near. And it may have given away too much. And I think that this journey of her wanting to go home, wanting her to go to places that made her happy, especially with her dad, who was a musician, and she's
Hmm.
a little bit of a musician herself. I love this journey and how
And
we
she's a
learn.
poet too.
She's a
That was a
poet,
nice.
very nice touch. And I just liked, because I was like going, really? Like all you want is pizza, but as the journey goes, you go, oh, okay.
Well, it makes sense.
This is what you want to go. And I said, yeah, but they don't give it to you right up front.
Right.
It's as they're going along. And I think meeting Eric, I also thought was great. Joseph Quinn as Eric, I too thought was great. I looked at Eric as being an Englishman in New York, not really knowing many people. He sees this woman wandering around, and he's like, you know what? I don't want to be alone in this. She seems like
Right.
she has a direction. I
Right.
want to like tag along, like, because I think
Yeah.
we'll be better as a pair than on our own.
Yeah. Well, that's
I
how it came out. Yeah, for sure.
and I liked how their relationship developed.
Me too.
Um, it so that's the crux, and all the while, uh these movies, the other thing where this movie succeeds, and the other ones as well, is they draw you into this world where you have to be quiet or else you get killed. And there were many a time where I sat there and I'm watching, listening. Like you listen, it forces you to listen to what's going on because you want to turn around and go, shut that up.
Right.
And even when characters might be speaking or they're trying to use their low voice, like there was even a time I went to you, I go, you're too loud, you're too loud.
Yeah.
To me,
Yeah.
that means the movie wins. Like if
Yeah.
you're going to the characters, like that means that Michael Sarnowski, he wins. Is that because he creates and he's successful in creating
Hmm.
that world? It builds the tension, and if you care for the characters, right, the monsters are the monsters, right? They're gonna do what they're gonna do. But when you care for the characters, it's like you want them to complete their journey,
Hmm.
and it raises the stakes. Like,
Hmm.
do they get there? The monsters are in their way. How do they do it? There are some very creepy scenes, some scenes where you jumped. And this is where I'm going to get into why the cat bothered me. Frodo, the cat,
Service cat.
um, yeah, a cat would never act that way. It was antithetical to how a cat would respond to certain stimuli. Meaning, there were times where the monster would boom, make a big sound, and the cat just sat there like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, okay. It's like, yeah, no, no. That cat never hissed. That cat never meowed. It's like, no, no. That cat is not going to act the way that it acted and not like freak out when this
Well, it was a
alien
couple
form
times it ran
came in.
away.
It ran away on its own, not necessarily like because of. And there were scenes where the alien was like right next to it, and it's
He
like,
ran away when
okay,
the explosion happens, jumped out of
yeah,
her arms,
when the
and
explosions happen, yeah, sure. But there were other times the alien's literally right next to it, and it's like, yeah, whatever. And I'm like, all I kept on thinking about was Jonesy from Alien and Aliens, and I'm like, that there was an alien. That cat was like, no, see ya, I'm hissing, and I'm like, there's no way, no way. There's even a scene with water, and I'm like, to not
well,
even
that
show
was the
that
one.
that
That
cat's,
was the one time I was a little hard for me to fathom because
yeah,
cat would not tolerate water like that. There's no way.
no, no, and I was just
but
like,
but you know what?
Ian,
Look,
at the end of the
I don't
day,
know
you
why.
didn't need
I
it
don't understand why those little things bother you so much. Because I
because
even
they
even
take
if it
me
didn't
out of
make
the
any
movie,
sense, well, even if well for me, even if it
right?
didn't make sense, the cat was a nice prop
Yeah,
as a way to help both of them in different times. So
didn't need it.
I
If you didn't take
I
the
I liked it.
if the cat wasn't
Well, I'm a
in the
cat person
story,
too, so
if
yeah,
the cat wasn't in, hey, I just fostered two cats. So,
but you don't like
but,
them.
but listen, again, if the cat acted like a normal cat, I would have been okay. But you're having this cat, like, it's like, no, no, it wouldn't act this way. And it's like, and then when I was thinking about it, I said, it has no influence on the outcome of this movie. If that cat wasn't in this movie, nothing would have changed. It wouldn't have been any less heartfelt. I want to talk about the scene that you brought up. This scene, I think, is one of the most tender scenes, heartfelt
Yeah.
scenes. You said the word sweet. You
Mhm.
said the word sweet. Couldn't agree with you more. The scene where she finds a jazz bar. They find the jazz bar in which her dad played. And obviously, they don't have instruments. They can't play instruments. So, what Eric does, and Joseph Quinn, I thought, again,
Yeah.
part of the reason this works, they do a pantomime of a magic show on stage. They pretend that
Uh,
there's an audience and it's a card, like a
yeah.
card kind of a trick. That scene, I'm talking about it now, and it was so sweet and it
It
was
really
so
was.
emotional. And I didn't expect it. Like
Yeah.
it comes out of sort of nowhere. But man, does it really heighten the relationship? It made the movie like it just hit home and it made things more emotional because this takes place in the third act. And the third act for me becomes even more emotional because of this one very tender sweet scene. And the both of them play off of one another
Yeah.
beautifully.
Yeah.
I'm
It
going to be
was
hard
amazing.
pressed that we're going to see another scene like that elicits that type of emotion the rest of the year. I'd love to see it, but
Well,
this
so far
one sets a bar.
I have to say that this might be my favorite movie so far
Wait, of the series or this
of the
summer
year.
of
Of
the
the
year
year.
so far? Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was
So
really, really,
go
really,
ahead.
really. I mean, I was like I said, I was thrilled. I was, touched. It brought tears to my eyes. I mean, there was just it's kind of like how I felt about the first Quiet Place in many respects. Because if you're going to talk about scenes again, for me, one of the most heart wrenching,
Mm-hmm.
terrifying moments in that first one is when she's having the baby. I couldn't get over that.
Mm-hmm.
Her trying to have a baby when the monsters and she has to scream. It hurts is like you can't even believe how much it hurts. The storm is coming. I just that literally had my blood, my guts out on my hands. I was just
Yeah.
so I mean, there's something about these movies that there's I what I'm saying is that it's unique in a monster movie, really, to have these kinds of scenes really affect you so completely emotionally,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's unique. And I have to completely shout out to Krasinski for doing this, for creating this, and handing it off to competent people, and the
Mm-hmm.
actors. I mean, the cast that he gets, it's just yeah, I mean,
It, it
really, it's
it
unique.
really is. It's very much. It's very unique. I mean, that scene that you described is
Ah,
amazing.
amazing.
When Krasinski as the father dies, he
Yeah.
sacrifices, and like that too. Like they do these emotional beats that are unexpected,
Mhm.
and I think that's where these movies thus far have succeeded in doing that. And but
Mhm.
again, it's what makes a monster movie, in my opinion, um a monster movie, a horror movie successful, is when you really care for the characters and when
Mhm.
you can take a breather and have those emotional moments that don't pander to the audience. They come
Right.
across as being very organic,
Very. Yes.
right? Wouldn't you?
Yes.
And then we get the thrills, and then we get the
Yep.
and then like and the blending, it works.
It
Um,
does.
I agree with you. I think A Quiet Place for me is my favorite because how it sets up the world. And and then for I love the second one. I love this one. To me, they're like on par. Like it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. I guess
And
I
I
liked
think
this
that
one a
the
little bit better only because it's newer. I mean, it's
mm,
a different take. So because
I
the
like
second one kind
yeah,
of just followed along, which we needed. We needed that closure. We needed to know
yes,
what happened to this family, right? We needed that. And
sure,
I
sure.
fully on board. But this one, just because it's different and in a different setting and with different characters, it kind of stood out a little bit more for me.
And sometimes that doesn't work
Yeah,
because
I
when you're
know.
going right, when you're going to a sequel, you are kind of expecting to see characters that are tethered in. Now, there is one character in this movie who's in part two. It's Damon Hinsu is in this one for a little bit. So there's the connectivity,
Yes.
but none of the main characters.
Right.
Emily Blunt's not there, the kids aren't there, Cillian Murphy's not there. And it's funny, I don't know about you, but so I'll ask, when you were watching this, and this takes place in New York City, I was kind of thinking on that parallel line going, oh, well, at this baseball park, in the
Yeah.
park, this
Yeah.
is going on. I forget what city they were in. It could have been, was it Philadelphia or something?
Did no, no,
And
they were in Iowa or someplace. They
there
were
are,
in
and
yeah.
so it's like, I was thinking, God, so while this is happening here,
Yep.
we have our original family and Cillian Murphy that's happening over there. Like it's all happening very parallel, and they're
Hmm.
telling different stories. And it makes me wonder, like, does Joseph Quinn's era, if they do a sequel, you brought up a good point. Like they could do it in England
Yeah.
or France or Greece. They could do it wherever because this seems to be a global catastrophic event.
Right.
But do they bring Eric back and have him like cross over somehow? I don't know. Joseph Quinn to me really proved himself as an actor. He's I mean he's neat cut, he's in a suit, he's clean cut relatively speaking. It was great to see him, almost unrecognizable. There was something about his eyes. I'm like, how do I know this guy? I had to ask you, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That's a sign of a good actor. I think
Oh
this is
yeah.
a great calling card for him.
Yeah.
And the way he acts opposite Lupita, I thought the
They
both
were
of them
just
were they were
just
really good. They're
beautiful.
the part of this
Yeah.
movie. It was beautiful. Um, and the movie just has wonderful emotional beats that you don't expect out of a
Yep.
thriller.
And
So,
they just keep doing it. They just keep giving us unexpected moments in this franchise,
mhm.
and it's wonderful. So,
Yeah.
I'm all for it if they can keep up the quality. I just don't want them to
Yeah.
make I just don't want them to make another one and it being like, because that would
Yeah.
that would, be disappointing. Anyway,
It would tank.
I would
But
give this a
yes,
solid 5 stars.
I see, and I'm giving it a 4 because of the cat.
Yeah, we don't. Oh, oh my
Yeah,
God.
I'm giving it a
All
4
right,
because of the cat.
all right.
It just really bothered me. One other important thing to note about these movies, because you talked about Krasinski, you know, also I'm going to give a shout out to Michael Bay because
Oh
this is
yeah,
a Platinum Dunes production, and it was Michael Bay who worked with Krasinski on the 13 Days of Benghazi movie.
right, right,
They
right.
became very chummy. That's where Krasinski's like, "Hey, I got this project," and Bay's like,
Do
"You're
it.
not asking me. Do you want to do it? Yeah, you do it. Yeah, yeah. This seems like really good." So Michael Bay kind of like, they became chummy, and then he did the Jack
Well, I
Ryan
get
series, which I think is
yeah. Well, I
also
guess
Bay.
Michael Bay probably mentored Krasinski a little bit then.
Yeah. And I like that story. Michael Bay can get a lot of shit. I'm not a hater, but I kind of like that he's like, yeah, man, I really enjoyed working with you. And I think
I'm
you
not a
could do,
hater.
yeah, I'm not a hater. I think you could
He
do
has
this
a
movie.
certain style that he does in his action films, and I just didn't love the Transformers. But that
Yeah.
wasn't necessarily his fault. It's just,
Yeah. So I just think that, a little bit of credit there, but I love how like they worked on a movie together. They became kind of chummy.
mhm.
And Michael Bay's like, why don't you direct
Welcome
this?
to Hollywood.
Welcome to Hollywood. Yeah. Well,
Welcome to
and Krasinski
Hollywood.
was in Hollywood too. He was in The Office. He had a modicum of success, and now he's
Right.
directing. He gets Michael Bay gives him his first big break. Nobody really knew how this Quiet Place movie was going to play out until I
Right. I
think it was
remember.
South by, and
Yep.
it does like a lot of money. The second one did really well. This one seems to be opening up fairly well. So, I hope that there's a fourth. They did a very good job. I'm glad that Krasinski's still involved. I mean,
Yeah,
his
me too.
fingerprints are all over this, but any movie that can draw you in and go, shh, our audience would have been dead. So
Oh,
our audience would have been dead.
oh
Let's
yeah,
just
we
be
could
honest,
all have been just
which makes it a
totally
good
dead.
movie.
Yep.
you know,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
it
Well,
drives you in.
thanks. This was fun. Yeah, this was
This
a
is a
good movie
lot
to
of
see
fun.
together.
Yeah,
Yep.
you know, whether they're good or bad, I really love watching movies with you. Honestly, we have like such a good time.
Yeah.
And it doesn't
I, I
happen
don't
all
I
that
don't hide
often.
my emotions very well.
No, I got the bruise to
Yeah.
show. I was like, you're hit. And you even warned me, if that happens again, I'm punching you again. I'm like, what did I do?
Doesn't
So
matter.
it
Quit it.
was just
Stop it.
really funny.
Quit
Oh my
making me
God.
jump.
Again, it's always I appreciate it, and I love how that we can bring that enthusiasm onto our show like that. I mean, we do see a lot of movies apart. I'm not saying that those shows are any like lesser quality or our
No,
enthusiasm is
but it
down.
is fun to
But
see them
when we
together. Yeah.
see them together, and I love as we're walking out, what are we doing? We're talking about the movie. It's
Yeah.
just great. It's what makes going to the movies fun. So I hope
Yep.
you folks have that buddy that you see a movie with, that you if you could share half of our experience of when we watch movies together, I praise you. I praise everybody for tuning in and watching KDM. Thanks.
Yep.
We have an all-out hit with Inside Out 2. Let's make this one even bigger. Don't
Let's
be
do
so
it.
quiet, folks. Don't be so quiet about KDM. Shout it on rooftops, have people watch. And I know that we have at least one fan from India. So
Yes.
which is great. Thank you, Satchin, for staying on board. But I really want to thank you. Comment. What was your favorite Quiet Place movie? In Quiet Place Day One, can you mention or remember a scene where you weren't quiet in your seat? That would have killed you. Please let us know. It's awesome, Kit. I love doing this with you. You're amazing. And I can't wait for our next movie together, whether we're
Yep.
watching or talking about. And we will talk soon. Folks,
Yes.
we hope to see you at the movies. God, wouldn't it be funny if like we could get some people to watch movies with us at a theater if they're
That
around? That would be a lot of fun.
would be fun. That would be
So,
fun.
anyways, so there you go,
Everyone,
folks.
take
Thanks for
care.
tuning in. Have a great time at the movies.
Bye.
Bye.